Okay. Welcome back to My Hero Academia Anime Review Episode 74. This I'm viewing the 98th episode of the series, which is called To Which That Is Inherited, and the 316th chapter of the manga, which I'll get to that later. First up, the episode. This one adapts it finished up chapter 209 and goes through the entirety of 4 straight chapters, going from 210 to 213. This episode mostly is the first half of the big fight between the last students from Class A, 1A and 1B. But 1A, you have Deku, Ochaku, Pinky, and Menta. On their side, you have the Phantom Thief, Shinzo, Ruler, Double Impact, I call him that, despite he has a different name, and Emily. I mean, what kind of a name, even though her real name is Ri, I don't know why she can't call herself Ghost Girl, because her ability is, her quirk is Poltergeist. So Deku figures he should use himself as bait. That kind of works mostly, but mostly put, basically, he gets attacked by the Phantom Thief, obviously. He spends a lot of time fighting him in the whole episode. Everyone else fights everybody else. Of course, he's dodging. Of course, everyone else is dodging all the moves. Shinzo doesn't do very much in the episode toward the very end. Yep. So, he fights, like, he thinks it's Emily, but no, it's actually not her at all. It's, of course, the Phantom Thief. And, of course, he still flying attacks at him. Apparently, he can copy 2 quirks at once, which are basically the shrinking ability and the whole thing of floating objects. That's what he can copy. The one whose power is Ruler, she, of course, that's a code name. She, of course, doesn't do very much in the episode. Emily herself does a little bit. Mostly, it's just basically from Class 1B. It's just Phantom Thief and Shinzo. And then, of course, then he of course gets kind of angry and sees Shinzo. And then, of course, basically, he's about to attack the Phantom Thief, and then his arm starts opening up, unleashing this black goo, later referred to as the Black Whip. And it goes completely insane. But before we continue with that, we have to start out with how the episode opened up, which is a bit out of order from last week, from the way it was in the manga, because in the manga, this first bit is actually a little bit later. We open up at Tartarus, the place where All For One is imprisoned at, and they're just keeping an eye on him there. They're wondering when the sentence is going to be, so they can stop wasting resources on him. He says, "Oh, I hear my voice, my brother." He says, "Sorry for it." And he also says, "Sorry for the inconvenience." He apologizes for it. And then we have Gran Torino calling up All Might. Yeah, this call comes after the prison scene, which is in the manga. They actually had the prison scene before. Like, in the anime it was before this. In the manga it was actually after the scene. Well, Gran Torino just calls up All Might, which, by the way, this actually happened during the last few pages of chapter 209, and you see it at the beginning of chapter 210. Well, they talk for a bit. You actually see a little bit more here. Like, you actually see what the heck that Gran Torino is standing from. In front of you see the door a little bit more that he's standing in front of, where he mentions what happened with, All Might's predecessor, his master, where she has something similar happen with her too, except it was just one dream mentioned once, and that was simply it. And now we go back to the match with his quirk on control. Shinju's wondering what the heck is going on, and of course his quirk is tearing up the place. And Ochaku, by instinct, just jumps on Deku. And there's actually a bit of a build-up, which I do appreciate that. And jumps on Deku. He says, "Calm down." Of course, they added in where he says, "Run." She's like, "No." And then she says, "Shinzo." He's like, "Yeah." "Brainwash him." And then, of course, he takes off his little adjuster for his voice changer. He says, Midoriya, let's fight. Again, let's fight. And he's like, okay. And that stabilizes the Quark. And then we go briefly into the Mindscape. Now, we actually meet the one who actually, this was actually his Quark. And his name is Lariat. Yeah. He is the 5th user of the All for One Quark. Yeah, his code name is Lariat. I had to look it up to see what his name was. I remember this guy. And someone pointed out, though, online that apparently he looks exactly like Hellboy. To me, he looks like someone from the U.S. service. But yeah, his appearance is based upon Hellboy, which is interesting to say the least, because the creator himself basically is a big fan of American comics, so why not Hellboy? Yep. He talks to him for a bit that he should always trust people and don't always use anger to get what you want, stuff like that. It's a good conversation bit, and they added this thing in here. They had this next bit. This is actually, they added in where Deku's about to wake up, and he's wake up. So Ochaku slaps him, which she doesn't do this in the manga. That's something they added in, the slap, which Deku didn't mind at all. He didn't hate Ochaku for that. And he knows her cheek is a little bit bruised. And she's like, that? I was like, don't worry about it. And then, of course, then here comes, then of course, he notices Vance. He's holding some objects, and of course, he blocks that. And of course, he also stops Shinzu using the scarf. Also, All Might really wanted to stop the match because the Quark went on control. And then Razorhead is like, okay, we'll take up consideration to get to it, and when things stabilize, and like, okay, let's just watch this for now and see what happens. So, yes, an absolute fantastic episode, and can't wait for next week, which probably is going to conclude this fight. And I have checked, and this is a definite. Episode 100 wraps up this arc and starts the villain's arc, which I think is so amazing. All right. Moving on to chapter 316, your turn. We pick up exactly where last chapter left off, where Endeavor is here now. And of course, Hawk's got Lady Nugent. Of course, he apologizes being late because of the rain. Alex is on as well. Stays before any with Nugent. And he's about to explain, and Hawks explains that he's not up for flying just yet. Look how Deku catches him with his black whip, and it's kind of hurting him a bit. No power, I can't pull him up. And of course, Hawks, he points to Hawks. All for One gave her an extra quirk to use, and maybe he booby-trapped her body, this kid. And then he introduces himself to her. Hey, I'm Hawks, your replacement. All for One's a sweetheart in this. I know you're better than this. Now you fought that kid, you must have realized it's too early to throw in a towel. Please tell us what you know. Leave us some help to hold on to. He used you, but don't let him in with that. You're a hero. You're Lady Nugent. And she's like, my replacement, Sixth Commissioner. I bet that, like me, you've done horrible things. All following order. So then, how do you still have glamour in your eye? Like, this road only leads to chaos, only for is darkness. How are you so... How so? How are you so... And it's just, within 2 months, I was supposed to bring the target to a mansion in Habari Woods. Not just me. He reached some others. Tell me, Mr. Placements. My soul can't take anymore, so how could you have a look in your eye when I wasn't alone in this? What can I say? I'm an optimistic at fault. Deku, no one else but him, right? Oh no, he was supposed to be caught. Boss. Yes, sorry. Tell him I'm sorry. And he's like, Chizuki. And he's like, should I be disgusted, man? I'm talking to her. And Deku says to him, do you remember everything you did, Eri? Eri, of course. With Eri I could. You want to say sorry, don't you? If you only to direct some energy toward Eri, I'll honor your deal in Lady Nugent's place. And of course, All Might finally shows up in his Batmobile. Kid, you okay? Lady Nanja and Kikasugi are in custody. Get word to the cops, and we need medical attention for this one. Midoriya's blood he needs to. All for one. And then we see Best Genius here too. Good luck, everyone. And of course, sometime later. Yeah, I'd say, I don't know if it was 2 months later, he says, and of course you have Hawks, like, they're all basically at the mansion. It says, former hider of the Creature Rejection Clan. The Heigo against Himors. Interesting. Nice looking mansion. This might be abandoned. It's actually a pretty nice looking mansion. It's a 3-story house. Pretty wide. And Deku just walks in. And sees an abandoned room. And then All for One chimes in. He's like, did you enjoy your session with Lady Nanjin? Well, Izuku Midoriya, because you've seen this message, that must have happened. This place is deserted, I should have known. You see, I love predicting and reading people, and a boy like you could never abandon someone like her, yes? I didn't force you, no. She acted on her own free will. But these poor souls who stumbled on the road of life and labeled villains. People go on and on about Quarks preaching the merits of individualism. I know I'm going for the manga, but this is such good dialogue, and basically I'm using my own deep voice because I can't imitate John Sweeney's voice from the anime. So this is my best effort to it. Here's more All for One. But ours is a regimental society under take control. One where the wrong sort of individuality gets you ostracized and purged. It continues. Democracy, socialism. That doesn't matter. There's no exceptions to the root of all this. Predicts the concept of human society altogether. The principle that governs all social organisms. The path you've chosen as thorny one. Every battle grinds away at your soul with no end in sight. Can you guess who was on my mind the entire time I was in jail? You. All might no longer interest me. I moved on from that great useless oaf. It's now your turn. Boom! Mansion blows up. Wow, what an excellent chapter. I give this one a 10 out of 10. It is that damn good. I love it. Now, you're probably thinking, why was I basically speaking as, well, All for One? Because it's such good dialogue. That's why. And I like using the deep voice. You probably, when you hear this is probably a bit deeper, but I'm basically speaking in when I was talking as him, because John Sweeney is a bit deep, but also a bit loud too whenever he speaks as All for One. And that's just how I would talk if I was voicing All for One. Basically talk like, oh, you can come to me, Deku. Find me. Something like that, yes. That's just my best impersonation of All for One. I don't know if anybody actually would catch on to that. But if anybody likes, I will if you don't like it, I will still continue because I like occasionally use a hep voice in order to talk. It's basically sometimes something I do. I would occasionally change my voice to something else. The sound basically grand and basically very powerful type voice. That's the type of thing I do occasionally. But I did it for All for One because he's just an awesome villain. That's why. Yep, so yeah, that's it for this particular review. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about how I talk in that voice. Okay? But my next video is going up soon. It'll be a review for the newest episode for One Piece. Excuse me. And of course, the video also talk about new chapter of the manga. And of course, I will also do 2 other videos aside from that. Another Comic Corner and Boruto. Okay? The next video. Bye.